In today's digital age, the smartphone is more than just a communication device. It is a gateway through which big corporations can monitor and influence our daily lives. The pervasive nature of mobile technology has given rise to a new era of digital surveillance, where personal data is a commodity that is constantly harvested, analyzed, and monetized by corporate entities. The importance of privacy has been a contentious issue since the advent of the internet, but with the proliferation of smartphones, the stakes have never been higher. These devices, carried by billions around the globe, track our locations, monitor our communications, and even listen in on our private moments without clear consent or awareness from most users. The data collected is vast and varied, ranging from personal preferences and contact lists to biometric data like fingerprints and facial recognition patterns. This continuous surveillance poses significant risks, not only to individual privacy, but also to fundamental human rights and freedoms. Furthermore, we will delve into the technological tools that enable this surveillance, discussing both the hardware and software that power our devices and the algorithms that analyze our data. The impact of these practices on consumer privacy will be scrutinized, with a focus on the real-life implications for individuals, including the psychological effects and potential for manipulation. Consumer responses to these revelations will also be assessed, exploring how public awareness and activism have influenced corporate practices and regulatory frameworks. The insights gained from this investigation will hopefully serve as a catalyst for change, prompting more stringent regulatory actions and encouraging more ethical behavior from those who wield technology's power. The journey from the first generation of mobile phones to today's smartphones is a tale of rapid technological evolution, intertwined with growing corporate interests in consumer data. The first mobile phones, introduced in the 1980s, were bulky, expensive, and limited to making voice calls. However, the introduction of 2G technology in the 1990s ushered in text messaging and basic data services, broadening the ways in which people communicated and interacted with technology. As 3G and later 4G technologies emerged, smartphones became ubiquitous, transforming into powerful computing devices equipped with high-speed internet and GPS capabilities. Each advancement in technology brought with it greater opportunities for corporations to integrate themselves into the everyday lives of consumers, often under the guise of convenience and personalization. Parallel to the evolution of mobile technology was the rise of digital surveillance. Initially, digital tracking and monitoring were primarily the domain of governments and security agencies in the name of national security. The ability to track and analyze consumer behavior became a powerful tool for marketing and customer relationship management. Companies like Google and Facebook, which started as tech startups, soon recognized the value of data as a core element of their business models. By offering free services like search engines, social media platforms, and communication tools, they were able to collect vast amounts of data, which in turn could be used for targeted advertising and behavior prediction. This business model has been so successful that it has been widely adopted across a range of industries, from tech to retail. There are several key instances in history that have marked the intersection of mobile technology and corporate surveillance. Apple's introduction of the iPhone and the subsequent launch of the Android platform by Google brought millions of users into ecosystems that were designed from the ground up to collect and utilize user data. Apps became a new frontier for data collection, with many requiring access to personal information such as location, contacts, and even biometric data as conditions for use. As we move forward to discuss the specific methods and tools used for surveillance, it becomes crucial to understand how these practices are built upon a foundation that has been laid over several decades of technological and corporate development. One of the most pervasive methods of surveillance is through mobile applications. Almost every app downloaded to a smartphone requests permissions that allow it to access a range of data. This can include access to the device's camera, microphone, contacts, and location, among others. Each piece of data gathered serves a purpose, often under the guise of enhancing user experience. For example, a weather app may request access to your location to provide accurate weather forecasts. However, this data can also be used to track your movements over time. Many apps also track how users interact with them, logging taps, swipes, and even the duration of interaction. This behavioral data is invaluable for companies as it helps them understand user habits, optimize app performance, and crucially, refine targeted advertising strategies. The collected data can be aggregated to build detailed profiles of users, which can predict not only consumer behavior, but also personal preferences and likely future actions. Location tracking is another critical tool in the corporate surveillance arsenal. Through GPS, Wi-Fi, and cellular data, Smartphones offer a precise method to track an individual's location in real time. This capability is utilized by apps to offer location-based services, such as maps, ride-sharing, and local event notifications. However, it also allows companies to build a comprehensive picture of an individual's movements and routines. Detailed location data can reveal sensitive information such as a person's home and work addresses, frequented routes, and even hobbies and habits based on the locations they visit. This information is often sold to third parties or used internally to target users with localized advertisements or content, which can significantly influence buying behaviors. Perhaps more alarming than location tracking is the potential for apps to access a smartphone's camera and microphone. This permission can be exploited to listen in on conversations or record video without the user's explicit consent or knowledge. While the primary function might be to allow video calls or voice commands, the open access poses significant risks to privacy. Incidents where apps have been found to secretly record users or take pictures without notification have been reported, though they are often attributed to security flaws or malware rather than corporate policy. Nevertheless, the potential for abuse remains a significant concern, especially as these features can be used to gather highly personal and potentially compromising information. Use of cookies and similar technologies in mobile browsers. Cookies and tracking pixels are well known in the context of internet browsers, but they are also prevalent in mobile settings. When you browse the internet on your phone, cookies track your activities across different sites, collecting data on your browsing habits. This data helps companies build a profile of your interests, which is used to tailor the advertisements and content presented to you. Furthermore, many mobile apps embed web views, which are essentially internet browsers within the app. These embedded browsers can also use cookies and other tracking technologies, often without the same level of scrutiny or control that might be applied in a standalone browser. The methods of surveillance by corporations through mobile phones are extensive and deeply integrated into the fabric of digital technology. From apps collecting vast swaths of data to the tracking of physical movements and even potential eavesdropping, these practices highlight a significant trade-off between functionality and privacy. Mobile operating systems. Mobile operating systems like Android and iOS are central to any discussion about surveillance. These platforms have deep access to hardware and are able to collect a wide range of data. They facilitate the functioning of all other apps and services on a device, controlling permission settings and determining what data these apps can access. Companies like Google and Facebook provide popular SDKs that also help in collecting valuable user data. These kits can track user interactions within apps, capture crash reports, and monitor performance metrics, which, while helpful for developers, also send vast amounts of data back to the SDK providers. Ad tech software. Advertising technology is particularly invasive in terms of data collection. Ad tech tools track users across apps and websites, building detailed profiles that are used to deliver highly targeted advertising. Techniques such as fingerprinting, where companies use unique configurations of a device, like screen resolution, fonts installed, and operating system, to track users without traditional cookies are increasingly common. Location tracking. Specialized software that uses GPS, Wi-Fi, and cellular networks to determine a user's location is a staple on most smartphones. The software not only provides services like navigation and location-based recommendations, but also feeds into databases that map user movements over time for various purposes, including advertising and market analysis. Hardware used in surveillance. Sensors. Modern smartphones are equipped with an array of sensors that enhance user experience, but also provide avenues for surveillance. Accelerometers, gyroscopes, and proximity sensors can determine a phone's orientation, movement, and even its proximity to the user, which can infer a lot about a user's current activity. Cameras and microphones. These are among the most direct tools for potential surveillance. Beyond their intended use for photography and communication, these can be activated, either legitimately or through security exploits, to record personal encounters without consent. Biometric sensors. Devices that feature fingerprint scanners and facial recognition technology collect unique personal identifiers. While these features are promoted for security, like unlocking your phone, the biometric data can potentially be accessed or intercepted by apps with the appropriate permissions or through security breaches. Artificial intelligence and machine learning. AI and ML are increasingly integral to mobile technologies, used for everything from optimizing battery life to personalizing user experiences. However, these technologies also enable more sophisticated data analysis and pattern recognition, allowing for more granular surveillance and predictive analytics. 5G technology. The rollout of 5G technology will significantly enhance the speed and connectivity of mobile devices, which in turn will enable more complex and continuous data collection. The increased connectivity can lead to more real-time surveillance capabilities, including better location tracking and faster data transmission from devices. The array of technological tools that facilitate corporate surveillance is vast and growing. As these tools become more sophisticated, the scope of surveillance expands, leading to increased concerns about user privacy and security. Understanding these tools and how they are employed is crucial for users who wish to protect their personal information. Psychological effects on users. Loss of anonymity. Knowing that their actions and behaviors are constantly monitored can lead to a sense of loss of anonymity among consumers. This can cause psychological stress and anxiety, as individuals feel they are always being watched. Behavioral changes. The awareness of surveillance can alter consumer behavior. Some individuals might avoid using certain apps or services, modify their online behavior, or become overly cautious about what they share online. This self-censorship reflects a direct impact on personal freedom and expression. Trust issues. There is a growing distrust in technology companies as more information about surveillance practices becomes public. This erosion of trust not only affects the company's relationships with their customers, but can also impact broader technology adoption rates. Real-life implications of surveillance, manipulation, and exploitation. The detailed profiles built by corporations can be used to manipulate consumer choices and perceptions. Targeted advertising based on intimate knowledge of personal behaviors and preferences can sway purchasing decisions and even political opinions, leading to significant implications for consumer autonomy. Discrimination. Surveillance data can be used to discriminate against individuals in various ways. For example, data about a person's location and behaviors could potentially impact their creditworthiness assessments, insurance premiums, or even employment opportunities. Data breaches and security risks. The vast amount of personal data collected and stored by corporations makes them prime targets for cyber attacks. Data breaches can expose sensitive personal information, leading to identity theft and other forms of financial and personal harm. Legal and ethical implications. Inadequate legal protections. In many regions, the legal framework has not kept pace with technological advancements, resulting in inadequate protections against privacy invasions. This legal gap allows corporations to exploit personal data in ways that might not be entirely ethical or transparent. Consent issues. Often, consent for data collection is buried in lengthy terms of service agreements that few read and even fewer understand. This practice raises ethical questions about the validity of such consent and whether consumers are truly aware of what they agree to when they use digital services. Global disparities. The impact of surveillance is not uniform globally. In some countries, stringent privacy laws provide significant protections, while in others, consumers are left vulnerable. These disparities can lead to uneven consequences of surveillance practices, affecting global users in varied ways. The impact of corporate surveillance on consumer privacy is profound and multifaceted, touching on psychological, legal, and ethical realms. As corporations continue to expand their surveillance capabilities, the potential for harm grows, highlighting the need for robust consumer protections and ethical guidelines to safeguard personal privacy. Public awareness and shifts in perception. As public awareness of corporate surveillance grows, so does the scrutiny of how companies collect and use data. Revelations about data breaches and invasive practices have led to a significant shift in consumer perception. More people are becoming cautious about the apps they download and the permissions they grant. There is a noticeable increase in the demand for greater transparency and control over personal data. Examples of consumer activism. Advocacy for stronger protections. In response to privacy concerns, consumer advocacy groups have been more vocal in calling for regulations that enforce data protection standards. These groups work to influence policy and raise awareness about the importance of privacy rights. Push for privacy-focused technology. There is a growing market for technologies and apps that prioritize user privacy. Services that offer end-to-end encryption, such as Signal and Proton Mail, have seen increased popularity as consumers seek alternatives that safeguard their communication. Legal actions and backlash. There have been numerous lawsuits filed against companies for allegedly misusing consumer data. These legal actions reflect a proactive stance by consumers to hold corporations accountable for privacy violations. Changes in consumer behavior towards technology and privacy. Adoption of privacy tools. More consumers are using VPNs, ad blockers, and privacy-focused browsers to minimize tracking and safeguard their online activities. These tools have become essential for many looking to protect themselves from invasive surveillance. Modification of device settings. There is an increasing trend in consumers actively managing the privacy settings on their devices. Many are revoking app permissions, disabling location tracking, and taking advantage of privacy. Enhancing features offered by operating systems. Shift in platform use. Some consumers are abandoning platforms known for extensive data harvesting in favor of alternatives that offer greater privacy assurances. This shift is sometimes seen in social media usage, where users move from more invasive platforms to less intrusive ones. The response from consumers towards corporate surveillance includes a mix of heightened awareness, legal activism, and behavioral changes aimed at protecting personal privacy. These actions indicate a critical shift in the relationship between technology users and providers, emphasizing the demand for respect and transparency in data practices. Overview of existing privacy laws. Privacy laws vary significantly across the globe, reflecting diverse cultural values and legal philosophies about the importance of personal data protection. General Data Protection Regulation, European Union. The GDPR stands as one of the most comprehensive data protection regulations worldwide. It enforces strict rules on data consent, access, and control, offering EU citizens significant rights over their personal data, including the right to access, correct, and delete their data. California Consumer Privacy Act, USA. Inspired by the GDPR, the CCPA provides California residents with rights similar to those under the GDPR, such as the right to know what personal information is being collected and the ability to opt out of the sale of their personal information. Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, Canada PIPED. A governs how private sector organizations collect, use, and disclose personal information in the course of commercial business. Like the GDPR, it emphasizes consent and provides individuals with the right to access and challenge the accuracy of their data held by organizations. Case studies of legal battles over privacy. Schrems II case, EU and US data transfer. This landmark ruling by the European Court of Justice invalidated the Privacy Shield agreement between the EU and the US, primarily due to concerns over US surveillance laws not providing adequate protection to EU citizens' data. This case has significant implications for international data transfers and stresses the importance of strong legal protections against surveillance. Google Street View data collection case. Google faced multiple lawsuits and fines across various countries when it was discovered that their Street View vehicles were collecting data from unsecured Wi-Fi networks, including personal emails and passwords. This case highlighted the need for stringent oversight and enforcement of privacy protections. Discussion of the effectiveness of these laws. While the existing legal frameworks provide a foundation for protecting privacy, their effectiveness varies. Enforcement challenges. Even with strong laws like the GDPR, enforcement can be inconsistent and fines uneven, leading to questions about the actual deterrent effect of such regulations. Technological advancement versus legal progress. The rapid pace of technological advancement often outstrips the slower, more deliberate process of legal reform. This lag can create gaps in protections that are exploited by corporations. Countries with stringent privacy laws offer more protection compared to those without, leading to a patchwork of protection levels worldwide. Historical context and evolution of surveillance. We started by tracing the development of mobile technology alongside the rise of corporate surveillance. These methods have enabled an unprecedented level of personal data collection. Technological tools. The role of specific technologies such as mobile operating systems, analytics SDKs, and ad tech software was explored. These tools not only facilitate extensive data collection, but also enhance the capability of corporations to analyze and utilize personal data for various purposes. We noted the erosion of anonymity, changes in consumer behavior, and the growing distrust between consumers and technology providers. As technology continues to advance, so too will the methods and tools for corporate surveillance. The future landscape of privacy will largely depend on several factors: technological advancements. Innovations in AI, machine learning, and other emerging technologies will undoubtedly create new privacy challenges that need to be addressed. How these technologies are regulated will be critical. As users become more privacy-savant, their demands for greater control and transparency are likely to increase. Corporate ethics. There is an emerging debate over the ethical responsibilities of corporations in the use of surveillance technologies. The principles adopted by these entities will significantly influence the direction and nature of surveillance practices. The ongoing dialogue between technology users, providers, and regulators will be pivotal in shaping a future where privacy is respected and valued.